Greetings, everyone. I'm Rhonda Bannard with Earth Gives. It's great to have you here. I know some of you are here for the very first time to go, what is all this? So you'll learn a little bit of that. And we're going to dig into some detail when it comes to marketing and outreach for Earth Gives Day, sort of the first US-wide Giving Day focused solely on climate justice, and the environment so that we can boost giving and engagement beyond just 2% of giving. And for those who may not have received the Giving USA report that just came out probably in the last month or so, giving to environmental causes is stuck there. And in fact, it went down 1.6%. So obviously we have an opportunity to rally together. So I wanted to take just a moment to reflect on some conversations that I've been having with people across the country. And Jochebed, by the way, if you see anyone coming in, just go ahead and admit them. I think I see Matt coming in. So I wanted to take a moment to reflect on those conversations because I'm hearing a lot of it, really interesting stuff that I can't even get to, but I'm hearing frustration. We're wearing too many hats. We still need to hire our development director. We're very focused on protecting water quality. So we're knocking doors and we're trying to get people involved in this very issue. There's feeling of overwhelm. There's feeling of celebration, but then frustration because even though a big grant, maybe from the IRA came in, they've got to go out and fundraise to staff up to deploy that money. So we're hearing it all. And then as it relates to Earth Gives, what we're hearing is, I didn't know there was a registration fee, a lot of detailed questions, like how did this go last year, which we totally understand. You want to see if you're going to be part of something that's successful. I need more advance notice. When is the last day I can register? Because we need to work this into our fundraising strategy. I'm sharing all this only to say we hear you, we see you, we understand where you're coming from. This is the day-to-day grind that you as nonprofit leaders make every day as teams that are working to advance the mission that you're all about. And sometimes it feels like we're barely making progress. We have those days. I've had a couple of them this week. Yet we fully believe that we are stronger when we come together. How many times have you heard that? I truly, truly believe that the opportunity is there, that too often we've worked in silos. I mean, to be sitting at just 2% when, you know, the most consequential issue is facing us is something's not working. And so how can we look at this challenge in a slightly different way? I don't have any promises. I don't know what this year will bring, but what I do know that is we are working very diligently with our partner at Neon One to really shape an exciting opportunity for people to put their concerns, their energy, their resources, and their time into working with you so that we can create a community of Earth Givers in all that means. You may or may not know that today marks the 5th anniversary of Greta Thunberg starting her climate strike. And she posted on social media earlier, and she talked about the fact that sometimes there's a few people and sometimes there's millions in the street. And you know, I don't know if we'll be able to follow in her footsteps, but the opportunity to say, we deserve to be invested in so that we can do the work that we are all doing on your behalves is nothing wrong to say. So that's why we're here. And we have a packed session. We're going to first turn it over to Jochebed with Neon One, who's going to walk you through some refreshers as it relates to using a great peer-to-peer fundraising tool that is part of the system that really automates and gives you opportunities for outreach. Then we're going to go jump into marketing and messaging. I'm going to show off a little bit of the toolkit and ideas of how you can leverage a variety of other things. And then finally, we're going to toss it over to the folks from Lambert, the PR firm that is going to be helping us get out the word this year in a much bigger way. So, and they have some requests of you, and certainly you can ask questions of all of us when we get to the end. So I'm going to turn it over to Jochebed and invite her to take it away.
So as Rhonda said, I am with Neon One. Neon One is the technology platform partner for Earth Gives. And so I am going to see us through, first of all, looking at peer-to-peer fundraising. So what is peer-to-peer fundraising? So peer-to-peer or P2P fundraising pages are these pages that allow you as the nonprofit organization and your supporters to collect online donations through a personalized page that they can set up and share via social media, emails, and texts. So essentially what you're doing is you're reaching out to people who are within your organization or outside of your organization and having them set up these personalized pages that are linked to your nonprofit profile on Earth Gives. And it gives like sort of another link that they can send out to their circle of friends and families and coworkers, people that you may not have direct contact with, but are interested in supporting this person and their passions, which include your organization. So it's sort of like you reach out to greater circles by reaching those people who are interested in your organization through these peer-to-peer fundraising pages. And so from our side at Neon One, our goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to have those pages created and managed on your organization's behalf. So all of that can be done through our Giving Day platform. Before I show you how to do that, I did want to give you a little bit more information on recruitment for your supporters. So your supporter is basically anybody, potential supporters are basically anyone that's expressed interest in your nonprofit. So these can be someone that signed up for a mailing list or someone that contacted your website looking for more information, someone that maybe stopped by physically trying to get more information about what your nonprofit is doing. These are potential leads that you can follow up on. These are people who may be interested in donating financially, but if they're not able to, this is a great way for them to engage with your nonprofit's fundraising needs without actually donating themselves if they're not able to. So it's a sort of easy lift of, hey, okay, so I know you're interested in our organization. Could you set up a nonprofit, could you send up a peer-to-peer fundraising page, spread that to your network and get some more donations in on our behalf? So let's look first at what I'm talking about. So this is what the fundraising page can look like. So this is for one of our registered organizations, the Northern Colorado Wildlife Center. And so you can see that they've set up their title, they have their title, Keep a Safe Route, sorry. And then they have the organization that they're supporting. You can see the creator's name is here, so they're linked to the organization. And then they've created their fundraising story. So this is kind of the hook of the fundraising page, is that it can be really personal to the person creating it. So they can tell a story about what your organization has done for their community, or the potential that your organization has to do great things. They can tell a really personal story about some way that they were served, or their family was served, or they've seen the environmental impact that you've had. And so, yeah, they can personalize the story there. And then on the day of, it'll be fun. You can see how much the page has received against its goal. And then also in the recent donations, you'll see the recent donations from donors to that page, to that organization through that page. And then also on the page, you see that sharing fundraisers is a big part of the success of the fundraising pages. So there's a link to share on Facebook and Twitter already on the page, and then they can also use the URL and send it via email, text, and then other social media platforms as well. So let's look quickly as to how you build these fundraising pages. So there's two ways to build them. One is the nonprofit way. So that's the way that you on the call will build fundraising pages for your nonprofit. And then there's the external supporters way. So we'll get into that later. We'll talk briefly about how a supporter will create a fundraising page. That way you feel confident and equipped to help them set them up. So let's look first at the nonprofit experience. So you'll begin by going to earthgives.org. On the homepage, you'll see the word login in the top right-hand corner. Hover over that, select nonprofit. On the next page, you'll select login as a returning organization. Then you'll enter the credentials that you, the email and the password that you use when you set up your profile. And that will take you to your GivesDay dashboard. From there, you'll find the tab that says My Fundraisers, and you'll click that, and you'll be taken to a list of all of the fundraising pages that have been created for your organization. So when in doubt about what is out there with your organization's name in terms of fundraising pages, that's the way to go. So find the My Fundraisers tab, and you can see all the ones that have been created for your organization. There's a lot of good things that you can do on this page. We'll get into them later, but for now, the click create fundraiser button on the top right corner is what you'll click, and that will take you to your fundraising editing tool. So in this page, there's a few required fields. You'll have to enter in a fundraiser title. You can make it whatever you want. Again, personalization is the big goal here, is to make it as personal to you as possible. That way you can draw in your friends and families and tell your story. So you enter your fundraiser title and then a URL. So it'll go earthgives.org/fundraiser and then the URL that you choose. Set a financial goal. Again, when we get into the fun of the Gives Day, you'll be able to see how much you've raised against that goal. And then you can add in a hero image. So if you don't add in an image like we saw on the Northern Colorado page where they had that those people feeding the deer, if you don't have if you don't have an image that you want to upload that represents your page or the organization, we do have a default Earth Gives wallpaper page that looks nice as well. So that's an optional field, but we do encourage it because, again, personalization is one of the biggest benefits of the fundraising pages. And then the other great area for personalization is your fundraiser story. So again, you enter in any information, especially if you're on the nonprofit site, maybe you have specific needs for your nonprofit that you want to highlight, or events or good work that you've done. Here's your chance to tell it. And then you click Save Fundraiser when you're ready to publish. For the most part, they publish pretty instantaneously on the site. And so you can, you also get an email confirming that your page has been published. Go ahead, from that email, you'll also get the custom URL, so you can already copy it and start sharing it with your community. And then you'll also get emails every time a donation is made through your page. Okay, so that's it for creating a fundraising page. It should be a fairly quick exercise, maybe 10-15 minutes, depending on if you have your story ready to go. Once you've set up your fundraising page and if you log back in as a nonprofit, as a returning organization, go back to your My Fundraisers tab, you'll see your newly created page as a part of the list of the fundraisers created for your organization. And then from there, you can view the public page. And then if you go to the far right and hover over those three dots, you'll see the other options for how you can manage that page. So you can edit your fundraiser. So that allows you to go to that live page that's published on Earth Gives. And you can make any edits that you need. So if you see that you need to update something, you can edit it. You can also copy your fundraiser. So within your nonprofit, if you decide sort of like the look of a certain fundraising page, you can copy it, which will create a duplicate, and then you can make any updates you want. You will have to update the custom URL because, of course, there can only be one. But for the most part, you can keep the rest of the information the same, and then you'll save it as a duplicate additional fundraising page. In addition, you can view donations. So if you click that one, you'll get a pop-up of a list of all of the donations that have been made to your organization through that page. And you can export that list as well. So that's great when you want to follow up for thank you lists, or you want to put them on your mailing list. These are people that are interested in the fundraising page and interested in your organization. And
Jochebed, I just wanted to clarify one thing. So if you're doing an internal fundraiser, like off of your profile page, which is the main page that you raise money on, these might be where you want to highlight a specific program or a certain initiative or something else that you want to really bring to the forefront. Or it could just be people internally, maybe even a board member who wants to raise money for you. But then the outside fundraisers can also be the board members, supporters, whatever. They're just not within your profile. They're coming in from the outside and saying, hey, I really like this organization and I want to raise money for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. If you're in terms of creating fundraising pages from this side of things, it's anybody who has access to your Earth Gives account can create the fundraising pages like that, and then also manage them as well. And then your board members, depending on if they have their Earth Gives account, they'll either do it the external way or the internal way. But yes, great point also about highlighting specific things. You as the nonprofit know the exciting things, activities, programs that you have on. And so this is a great way to highlight that as well. And then finally, as the nonprofit, you also have the ability to deactivate any fundraisers that are linked to your organization. So you can see who is the creator. So if you want to reach out to anybody and have them make any changes, you can do that, or you can just go ahead and deactivate yourselves. And once a page is deactivated, it disappears from the public site, but any donations that were made through that page are already received, are made to the organization, so they won't disappear with the page. Okay, so that's it for the nonprofit, the organization side of fundraising pages. So I'll just quickly, again, just so that you have a better understanding of what your supporters are potentially being asked to do when you go to your leads and ask them to create a page for you. It's good if you have a background to see just how easy it can be. And it should be relatively quick and easy. Again, even from their side, should be about a 10-15 minute process, depending on how much they want to write in their fundraising story, of course. Okay, so from their side, either you will provide them a link directly to your profile page. So that's the page that's on earthgives.org/your organization's name. Either you can give them that direct link, or you can just point them to the earthgives.org site and have them search for your nonprofit and then click learn more when they find your nonprofit. Either way, now that they're on your nonprofit profile page, they'll find a fundraise button that they can click. Once they click that fundraise button, they will be prompted to create an account. That's they're asked to do that in case they also want to edit, manage, copy, or delete their page. The creation of account is super easy. They'll be taken to a page where they can enter their credentials if they have an account already. Most likely they won't already, so they'll click create account. They'll enter their first name, last name, email address, and then enter a password right there. They don't need to do like a two-step verification or authenticate it with their email address. They've created their account just there. So again, it should be a relatively quick and easy process. They'll create their password, and that will take them to their fundraising page editing tool. So you can see it looks the same as yours. They will enter their title, the custom URL, set a goal. They can upload a hero image. So if they have an image, maybe of a personal experience that they've had with your organization, or maybe something that they think represents what you're either trying to help with or trying to help avoid, as they can upload a hero image. Again, if they don't, we have a default Earth Gives wallpaper that will show instead, so it won't just be blank. And then finally, encourage them to tell their fundraiser story. So when you're recruiting, give them sort of this overview of how to create a page, let them know how easy it'll be. And then maybe it might be a good idea if you're really connected to your supporters to give them story prompts for, for example, can you tell of a time when our organization did something great in your community? Or, if we rescue animals, of a time that you dropped off an animal and had a smooth and easy process with us, something like that. So encourage them to be personal in their storytelling. And then when they're done filling out their fundraising page, it's just the same as with the nonprofit side. They'll click Save Fundraiser when they're ready to publish, and they will receive an email letting them know that their fundraising page has been published with the custom URL included. You also, as the nonprofit, will receive an email letting you know that a fundraising page has been made for your nonprofit, so you can check it out, make sure that it's appropriate. And then, yeah, they can monitor how their fundraising page is doing. And finally, in order for them to manage their fundraising page, they would go back to the earthgives.org site, hover over the login at the top right corner. They can choose either donor or fundraiser login. It's the same. They'll enter in that information that they entered when they created the page. And then they'll be taken to the home page. They'll see their name on the top right corner. Have them click their name, and that will bring up their donor account or their fundraiser account. And then from here, it looks like this. They'll click the My Fundraisers tab, and then they'll have a list of all the fundraising pages that they've created for Earth Gives. So for your organization and for the other organizations featured on Earth Gives. There they can view the page as well. So if they click view, it will take them to the live page. And then if they click the cog over to the right, they have the option also to view the donations that have been made to their page. They can copy the fundraiser. So again, making a duplicate that they can then update and then save as an additional page. And then they also have the right to deactivate any fundraising pages that they've set up. So that's just a quick overview of the process of how to create and then manage the fundraising pages, both from the side of an organization and then also from an external supporter. I hope you can find that a little useful. I hope it makes the process, it sort of demystifies it so that you're not intimidated to get started, because it really should be a 10-15 minute process all around. So just a few words of encouragement before I pass it back over to Rhonda. Fundraisers are only successful when they're shared. Encourage the members of your staff that are setting up pages and your external supporters, encourage them all alike to share their fundraising pages as widely and as often as they can, as soon as they set it up until Gives Day. Share it on their social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of the social media that they have them share it via email to their friends and family, to their Christmas list, have them send it via text to their group chat, encourage them to share, because the more eyes that go to their fundraising page, the more eyes that also go to your nonprofit, and the more potential donors that we have, the more potential volunteers that we have, and people that can then engage with your organization beyond the Gives Day. Also encouraging to add calendar reminders for you then to reach out to people that are interested in raising money on your behalf. So again, if they're able to donate directly, wonderful. If they're not, this is a great way for them to still remain engaged and to let people know that they're interested in supporting you. I am trying not to take too much time, so I will just direct you to videos that we've set up for fundraising pages. You can also go to the earthgives.org site, and there's a fundraising pages drop down, which has, in the drop down menu, which has information, basically just the picture version of my presentation. And then if you need any other help on the Earth Gives site, there is a blue support button that you can click, and then a member of my team will help you out. You can also reach out to that email if you have other non-technical questions. And then for the rest of this call, I will be on to answer any questions that you have about fundraising pages, and then I can also answer any questions that you have about registration if you are having trouble getting past that step as well.
Thanks,
So.
Jochebed. So each day we are seeking to build a community of Earth Givers, like I said off the top, and a community of organizations like all of you coming together to say, you know, in solidarity that this is what we're working towards. What is key and what a lot of lead fundraisers are saying, and what is close to my heart, for those of you who've seen my wall here, these are actually card boxes, because I feel like building connection is powerful through the written word. And over my lifetime, it's really actually what I've done and how I build a large circle of a community. And so I just wanted to like reinforce the fact that we are trying to welcome everybody. This is about using language that says you are welcome here, you belong here, you can be part of this community, you can be part of the solution. So when you think about inspiration, think positive, because we're going to talk about the negative in just a second. But how do you inspire people to join the community? You know, this is a little bit of a prescription of like, how do we do that? We have a loneliness epidemic. I mean, it is extreme and growing. And even just yesterday, I heard people talking about it, that it is actually a national defense issue because people feel marginalized and alone and not embraced. And so they go off and do things that they might not typically do. And we each feel, you know, lonely at times. So there are opportunities to really use language and sort of our unifying opportunities to say, you are welcome here, you belong here, you are one of us. Showing that by them giving has an impact. Of course, you know that, I'm not saying anything, but maybe the impact is done and talked about in a slightly different way, that it's not just about, you know, you have an impact that allows our team to be part of this bigger effort. It's, you know, you're helping us serve you. Don't think of it just like, you know, we serve so many kids, we planted so many trees, we did so many things. There's all kinds of ways to talk about the impact that you're having. Help your donors feel empowered. Give them, you know, the agency to say you have the power to actually truly make a difference. People want to feel like they have impact, you know, that they've done something worthwhile in their lives and with their talents and with just their circle of people. And then celebrate the successes that folks are actually being part of something that you are successfully advancing with them and because of them. For those of you who haven't heard me talk about Seth Godin, I'm a huge fan of his, and so always happy to talk about Seth Godin. He's, you know, written like 21 New York Times bestsellers, including the Carbon Almanac, which I was a part of. This is a great book if you want to brush up on some of your marketing outreach. But the key line that he uses often and over again is people like us do things like this. So when we think about giving to environmental climate justice, what we are really trying to do is not just relate to people like us, but to get people to think, oh, they can be, or they are, or they want to be like us, and we welcome them. And sometimes it's grounded in the values that we all share, you know, clean air, clean water, incredible national parks and forests and hiking trails to hang out with our friends and our families and, you know, our getaways. So all of you have very different sort of organizations and missions, whether it's like getting that great picture of a raptor that was released back into the wild or whatever it might be. We have these shared values. So think about this idea sort of juxtaposed together. People like us do things like this, inviting people in, framing it through values. Sometimes people have an aspirational identity, and so realize that those sideline sitters, the people that are very worried, so to speak, about climate change, and they don't know what to do with their anxiety or their energy, give them something to do with it. So another favored climate scientist that many of you probably have heard of is Katharine Hayhoe, and she recently posted this: the goal isn't to have the word paralyzed by anxiety. It's to have the world galvanized for action. That's what we want to be doing through Earth Gives. We want to galvanize the world to come together to solve this problem. What she also talked about was that 50% of society feels helpless about this huge issue. And it's not hard to understand why, of course. But fear-based posts of the sky is falling just worsen that. So we stay stuck and we're just like, we're going to just hole up instead of inviting them in again, going back to that welcome mat. It's a really important visual that I think needs to be front and center when it comes to Earth Gives. And one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou really, I think, does this. It's not about what you're saying or what they did. It's how you're making people feel. How are you making donors feel? How are you making folks feel that you are inviting into your circle to invest in, to work with alongside of you, to come to your events, to be part of your community? So keep that in mind. So we can imagine a beautiful future together. We can talk about what that looks like, what we're making possible with the investment in your organization. You can connect people to think about learning about more issues. So think about the first transaction is about connection. The follow-up is that they're making a donation and investment in the work that you do. And then take an action. And that action is clicking the button to make a donation, make it a recurring donation, make it a bigger donation, whatever it might be. But a great way to reframe even the invitation to do that donation is this. And I think it was Simon Sinek that I first heard it from. And that is, if you choose to give to an environmental organization, we hope that you choose our organization as one of the many that you invest in. So in that way, you're positioning yourself as part of a bigger community, you're softening the ask, it's not so hardcore, and people kind of love that kind of framing and feel more welcome to participate into something like that. Most of you probably missed the community commons that we did. It's our monthly gathering, which we're going to probably skip the next 2 months because of Earth Gives. But last month, you can still get the recording, and it was presented by Freya Williams, and I'm going to mention her a few times, but she gave such a great presentation to talk about framing. So mental frames are structures that we just intuitively think of when we hear a word. So if I say dog, if any of you have dogs, you think of your dog. When I say cat, you think of your cat, or you say, I don't like cats. This is how I think about them. So that's like super basic. If I say the word Maui, my guess is you're thinking about the tragedy that unfolded in Lahaina. So framing is part of communicating. Words have power, language has power, and we need to think about that. So when we use that different framing, what is stop fossil fuel production versus we're going to transition out of, we're going to transition towards renewables? What is the framing that you want to utilize in the messaging that you share? And then how can your questions be meaningful? I think questions have huge power. Maybe it's because I started out life as a journalist or something, but I think they have great power. So when it comes to peer-to-peer recruitment, how can you think about that? So Jochebed just went over all these ways of helping other people become ambassadors of fundraising for you. Put them to work, delegate. That's the whole point. But even if you're asking them to become a peer-to-peer fundraiser, maybe you ask the question, what would be personally meaningful for you in playing a role in raising money for us, in playing a role in making an impact? What would you be celebrating after this? And how can we make that possible for you? And then they feel like, oh, okay, they're asking me a question. They want to hear what I have to say. And I've got input and agency in this, and I feel empowered to go forward with this idea. So you can help us, XYZ organization. You can help us clean the water, heal, 50 raptors going forward. In doing so, what does an investment from you look like to enable us to do that? So you put it on them. You don't come up with amount, you leave it open-ended. I had coached an organization once and I said, don't ask, this gentleman will walk right into the top sponsorship. And that's just what he did. But you have to know your audience. And I knew him as somebody who would probably likely do that. How do you language in such a way that people think beyond the donation, beyond the transaction, and into influencing a life change? Think about your donors' identities. They want to become supporters and they want to feel good about what it is. So again, kind of reiterating what I just said, they're becoming agents of change, ambassadors for change making, get very specific. People often, as you know, all working with volunteers, people want to hear, tell me how I can serve. And so be as specific as you can. Keep donors engaged emotionally with your storytelling. So today is really about storytelling, but storytelling is at the very, comes through sort of the foundational ideas that we're sharing today. And remember what I said at the beginning, giving isn't an emotional act, so treat it as such. It's kind of like, remember when you got like a new pair of shoes going to school? Everyone's like, oh, I feel so great. And this is just super awesome. So think about it and equate it to something like that. And think about how you can keep donors feeling emotional and prideful about what they're doing for you. And then think about innovating through partnerships and elevating what those people are doing. Several years back, I had an opportunity to coach a politician running for a fairly high office. And I advised him to really, when he was speaking to groups, to lift up the people in the groups for the impact that they were making on the community. And it worked brilliantly. And he's gone on to, he went on to be elected and he's still elected. And now he's serving in Congress and all kinds of other good things. So we can elevate our work by also elevating others. And then think about, I know you've got a ton on your plate. Again, if some of you are just dipping your toe in, that's great. If some of you want to go a little bit further, that's great. This might even serve you in the work that you do every day, even outside of Earth Gives Day. But what is your social plan? And I don't mean that by what are you posting on Instagram? What is your plan to be social? What is your plan to connect with people? The tactics come after. What do you want to accomplish in the relationships that you're building? And then how do you get there? So it could be something like a surprise. So I just mentioned that Greta is celebrating 5 years doing this. Well, during the 25 days of giving on September 15th is a global climate strike. Could you do like an Earth Gives climate strike, striking out to bring in more community members to be involved in the work that you do? So what is surprising? What is an opportunity where you're going to be showing up in a group? Maybe it's something that you've already got planned as part of your organization, or maybe it's something even personal or just with family, where you stand up and say, I need to ask you a personal favor. I work at XYZ Sustainable Cities. I work at Wild Earth Guardians. I work at Western Environmental Law Center, and I am asking for your help. We are part of this nationwide initiative to really advance giving to environmental causes beyond just 2%. And we would love you to help be part of that solution by giving to us today through our unique URL. So make those surprises, think about those things that you can simply integrate into the work that you're doing. Okay, toolkit, we've got so much for you. We are trying to figure out a way to kind of parse it up. I have been called an overproducer, and I, own that. It's just who I am, I guess. And so we've got quick tips. We've got a calendar that's literally week by week. It might be specific to a day. It might be, just kind of when certain things can time. So use it as you might need to. We've got all your peer recruitment emails. So recruiting people to be a peer-to-peer fundraiser. I've got 4 weekly reminders for you to share with them, but we're going to leverage the power hour. So it's not just about asking them to give again or push out their own peer-to-peer fundraiser. It's literally about inviting them to a power hour, which I'm going to mention in just a second. We've got fundraising emails, press releases you can use, email signatures you can change. We've got social graphics for Earth Gives Day for the power hours and raffles. And we've got just random social content. So those are just some of the things that you'll probably, thank you, Hillary, that's very nice of you, that you can use. So we're really trying to make it as turnkey as possible so we can really get down to the community building. Okay. This is just kind of an example of what 2 pages of the toolkit are going to look like. It is going to be copy and pasteable. So don't worry about that. We're making sure that it's super easy to use, no matter if you're a sophisticated organization. We have several international organizations, and we have some very small who are just working to keep the doors open. So we really want to serve each and all of you. Here's an example of one of the social graphics that we have. So I don't know if you're able to see the whole thing, but down at the bottom, several places, you're going to be able to drop your own logo. So it's not like you're not going to be known. But your logo is going to be there if you want it to be there. But there are several where you can just share it, and then your unique URL goes down underneath in the content. And we've written some of that content if you'd like to use. It literally matches each of the ads that we've got, and we've got a wide variety, and we've even updated the ads from last year. So whatever serves you, you can use throughout the 25 days. But yeah, you can drop in your own logo, and then of course, your unique URL, because that's where you want them to start. This is a sample because we just confirmed all the dates and where each of the Power Hour programs are going to be. But yes, we do have Bill McKibben speaking. I think he's going to be talking on the 26th of September. We have 4 Power Hour programs. This is our, where the intersection of Earth Gives really stands out from just a giving day. We want to educate, deepen knowledge, and invite people in to learn more, to be able to do more. So it's not just about the transaction, it's about the transformation, it's about building a community. So 4 Power Hour programs. The first one is September 12th, and that one is on, I'm looking up at my calendar, that is on circularity, and it's being, so any nonprofits that work in the circularity recycling area will, of course, probably be thought of, but it's being presented by a nonprofit. So the way this works, we're still working on getting a VIP open, or it could be a climate media representative or a VIP, which we're working on. And then the nonprofit presents for about 20-25 minutes. Then there's Q&A. And then Earth Gives makes a little bit of an announcement, of course, inviting everyone to give, and maybe talks about the raffle. And basically we say goodbye, but we're hoping everyone sort of goes into breakout rooms. And those breakout rooms will be facilitated by university students. So if any of you are affiliated with a university, know of a university, we've already got 2 confirmed, and some other groups are considering it, but we already have a sign up for university students, frankly, anywhere in the country, or students who run their own nonprofit to come in and facilitate. And it's basically saying, what were your takeaways? and what are you committing to do? And of course, inviting people to give. But again, being seen, being part of a community, and advancing the initiatives of the folks that are part of Earth Gives. So we're excited for the power hours. Oh, let me see. Okay, so the 12th is circularity. The 18th is regenerative agriculture. The 26th is with Bill McKibben, and October 2nd is on environmental justice with the Climate Justice Alliance. Now I get to turn it over for a little of PR talk. And I'm going to turn it over to, I think, Joe and Katie joined us. I realized that I hadn't sent them the link. They're two of the members of the PR team that's going to be supporting us from Lambert to get the word out about the power hours and Earth Gives Day. And so Joe, Katie, take it away.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Yes, sorry to be late, but happy to be here and happy to support this incredible initiative. And we are a resource to Earth Gives, and by extension to you folks. And we will be sharing, I think Rhonda will be sharing with you a form that Katie had developed. Just a quick, questionnaire to help us. And there you go. Thank you, Rhonda, to help us help you as part of our efforts here. So Lambert is an integrated PR marketing firm. We've got offices across the country, including Michigan and Arizona, St. Louis, and other areas as well. Katie's based in Phoenix. I'm based in Michigan. And our goal here, as Rhonda mentioned, is to amplify and increase visibility and awareness for Earth Gives Day. And we'll be trying to do that on a national level. But the local level is also extremely critical, and we're happy to support however we can. For those of you who have dedicated comms, marketing, PR pros, on your team, don't know how many of those there are, but if you have, we don't need to insert ourselves. By all means, continue to operate as you normally do. But for those who perhaps don't have those resources available, our objective will be to support you in market with regard to pitching Earth Gives Day, your participation, and trying to generate some media coverage. So we'll be working with Rhonda on a press release announcing Earth Gives Day if it doesn't already exist, and apologies, Rhonda, if it already does. But we'll be working on that and perhaps tailoring.
It's in the toolkit.
It is.
Joe.
I did hear you mention that it was going to be in the toolkit. Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was already done.
I'm sure you're going to change it, but that's totally fine. That's what happens when you get two PR people together.
Yep. So we will, if necessary, adjust, but if not, we will, if it's perfect, and I'm sure it's close to perfect, if not perfect, we will make whatever changes and generate and try and generate some media coverage from September through Earth Gives Day, both for the organization and the event, but also the individual participants as well. So we look forward to working with you folks. The questionnaire will help us, identify those of you who might need some support. So, for example, if you're, a Boston or Minneapolis. I'm not sure where everyone is located at this point, but you don't have PR support. We're happy to reach out to the media in those markets and, pitch the Earth Gives story and your connectivity to it in hopes of securing some media coverage. So one of our first questions is, are you comfortable, are you comfortable being interviewed, or who is the spokesperson for your organization to help us identify, who is available and how we can proceed. So that's how we envision this working. I'm sure that things will come up as we as we proceed, and we'll bring ideas to the table, and we look forward to working with all of you as needed. And our contact info is in the form that Rhonda shared on the chat. Rhonda, any questions, anything else you think we need to address at this point?
No, obviously we'll be sharing it out to all the participants because a lot of them aren't here, today, but they'll be getting it. So anyone who's registered will receive that link and the ability to kind of be part of this group. And certainly, if you're teamed up with anybody else within your state or community, that would go further as well. I want to just open it up to questions. If anyone has PR questions generally, Joe and Katie are here to answer them. Certainly, I bombarded you with a lot of information. I probably guess what I would say is you'll be receiving the toolkit probably within a week or so if you are registered. You only receive it when you are registered. And there's also going to be located in a resource on earthgives.org for those who are logged in and part of the platform. So let's open it up, whether you've got questions for Jochebed, me, Joe, Katie, anybody, comments, thoughts, questions?
I work for the South Dakota Soil Health Coalition. We are a group of farmers leading kind of regenerative ag practices, and we also partner with different states on other things. We do a pretty good job of reaching people within our agricultural community. What does the Earth Gives platform or the Neon One platform do to get our message in front of likely donors outside of our community? Because the stuff that we do affects people way downstream from us, because our members control hundreds of thousands of acres that they're reducing non-point source pollution from. That's less nitrogen and phosphorus and sediment that ends up in the Missouri River, down to the Mississippi River, down to the Gulf of Mexico. So what does Earth Gives, what do they do to reach people outside of the community that we already do a decent job of reaching?
That's a great question. I guess it's probably mostly directed at me. But the unifying force, like whether it's a Giving Tuesday or another Gives Day that might happen in a state, like I was part of starting Arizona Gives Day. It basically invites the whole of the community to invest. So even Giving Tuesday has a statistic: 52% of people gave during Giving Tuesday because they wanted to be part of something bigger. And so the idea is that we're trying to create something bigger. We're trying to bring attention to the fact that you're not funded at the level, that people aren't paying attention, that the resources aren't going here. I mean, I just read a headline that billions of dollars were just invested in this climate tech and it's not going to work. And so what we're saying is, how do we sort of lock arms and make noise together? When it comes to farming, I mean, you've got like a lot of, all the people impacted from the river, all the people impacted from food and soil, the state of soil. I mean, I'm not telling you anything. But the state of topsoil is really at an emergency, and everyone shares the work that you're doing. They just simply don't understand that. So what we're trying to do is create an ecosystem and an ecosystem that goes much more broad than your community. And certainly when it comes to Earth Gives, we have the ability to invite those who donated to come back, to refresh them. We hope to keep the platform open all year next year, do thematic things, support reoccurring donations, and build community. So we're not about having this as a transactional, okay, here's 25 days, we're done. It is, how do we continue to build community, invite people in to be solution drivers? So maybe it feels like I'm dancing around a little bit, but I'd be happy to talk a little bit of strategy with you to see how you reach a little more broadly from your own community, but that's the idea. So any of the donors that give to you, that discover you and are excited about your work, you get to download them and keep that donor list and nurture it and bring more folks on board. But that's why Jochebed talked about the power of the peer-to-peer fundraising. So if you're speaking to your group, the idea is to get a few people to be the ambassadors to then speak to their group to go far beyond. So whether it's a vendor, whether it's a sponsor, whether it's friend, family, board member, folks who live along the river, I mean, they have skin in the game. So who has skin in the game? And then how do you tell the story in a way that people understand why, you know, I've used this example before, but why a group up in Maine who is protecting the salmon run matters to Arizona that doesn't have any ocean, but we still eat salmon, you know, or some of us like sushi or whatever it might be. And so all the interconnections. I'm going to shut up because Stan, I don't know if I answered your question, but I bet Joe or Katie might have an idea too.
Stan, it's a great question. I understand it's difficult right now to see, you know, where this potentially what the benefit is here. But you know, from our perspective, it's you know, when you think about Giving Tuesday and how much that has grown, you know, you are an early adopter at where this will hopefully go with regard to Earth Gives Day. So as someone who works in farming, you know, the analogy would be, you know, you're planting today for benefits, you know, down the road. So, you know, that is, you know, I think one of the things that Rhonda, one of her slides, it was the doom and gloom. It was, you know, don't look at, you know, what we have to accomplish by, you know, tomorrow. It's taking that first step. So that's kind of what this is, you know, from our perspective, and how we message this is that, you know, we can't do this alone. So I like the echo, you know, the echo chamber that you mentioned, Rhonda. That I think this is collectively you are stronger together, right, than alone. You know, so that's where the benefit of Earth gives. It gives greater voice as a group.
And that's why, Stan, in the toolkit, you'll see, you know, follow Earth Gives, because we're going to give shout outs. So not that we have like, you know, we're a scrappy startup nonprofit, but, you know, the idea is that other people will begin to like and share and invite and ask and use messaging that really helps people understand why your work really matters. I mean, my first gig was in Mississippi, you know, and I did a lot of farming stories, and I guess I didn't fully appreciate it until I had nightmares watching Kiss the Ground, the documentary, and went, oh my gosh, we are really in a tough spot. So we have the opportunity to communicate that collectively.
Yeah, and it gives you an opportunity to, you know, outside of, I don't know if anyone here has participated in Giving Tuesday activities. I mean, it's very competitive now because it's very crowded, and you know, trying to capture people's attention, the media's attention specifically surrounding Giving Tuesday, because it's so crowded. This isn't. I mean, this is a growing. It's early, and you are one of hopefully a growing number. But this is an opportunity for you, Stan. Your objective was to reach those who aren't already supporters. This is a way of doing that, you know, through the media and, you know, through, you know, what you do, your organization does on its own from a PR perspective, or what Lambert does on behalf. That's the potential here, is to reach a larger audience, you know, outside of your typical audience.
Well, thanks, everybody. I think you know how to reach me, Rhonda at earthgives.org. You know, check in with me if you need anything. If you want to strategize, that would be great. And thanks, we really appreciate you coming. I know some of you haven't yet joined, and we had a sign up actually while we were doing this webinar. So that's super exciting. Yes, Hillary, it's great to have you back. I mean, Joe, Hillary is an example of a international organization doing work in a very unique way. So we're really thrilled that she's sticking with us and sees the opportunity as this really can take off definitely into the coming years. So thanks everyone, Cameron, Trish, Deborah. What part of Mississippi? Well, I didn't grow up, Greenwood. I worked at the ABC affiliate in Greenwood, Mississippi, and covered most of the state. So yeah, long time ago, we can talk. Christine, Hillary, Maris, Whitney, really lovely to have you. Thanks everybody. And I'll stick around on Zoom in case anyone wants to ask questions after we all sign off. Have a great Friday. Enjoy the outdoors if you have the opportunity, wherever you may be. Thanks everybody.